Greetings, humans. How is everyone today? It is December. Hello, Iron Eddie. How are you, young man? It is December, and it is hard to believe, is it not? It's crazy that we're already at this point. Week 13 is upon us. Lucky Week 13, as I like to call it. Glad you can all make it. A regular Saturday Ask Me Anything. Hopefully, it'll be mostly about football, but there are things going on, right, that we need to set the table here a little bit. In case you're just kind of getting into the week. Some of us don't get started until Saturday, right? Good afternoon, Scott. Thanks for coming. Dalvin Cook is out. DeAndre Swift is out, in case you didn't know these things. Deebo Samuel, out. Darren Waller, doubtful. He'll be out. Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins, both questionable. Seems likely they'll play. Andy Dalton will probably start on the other side of that game since Justin Fields is doubtful. Allen Robinson, doubtful as well. Doubtful. What a horrible mess that season's been for him. I've revoked his quarterback proof card. For now, I'll give it back. I'm really nice about that. Some really interesting games this week. Some good matchups to go through. If you're here and you're checking in, I hope you're subscribed to the channel and get the notifications and all that fun stuff. Makes it easier. Hit the notification bell and all. And also hit the like button if you like it. Gets us raised up in the algorithm. Scott, getting the ball rolling quickly. With Jamal Williams, Matt Breida, or Van Jefferson in a PPR. I like Van Jefferson an awful lot this week, but I'd have a hard time going away from the volume and that Jamal Williams is going to get. We've seen Dan Campbell as the play caller be pretty conservative, I guess for the obvious reasons. I think he feels like his defense keeps them in games, and if he can keep the game close and keep the other offense off the field, I think there's going to be a lot of Jamal Williams questions. So it's interesting, Andrea. I'll get to this in a second. But Scott, as you well know, you're playing in a lot of leagues where there's a lot of money on the line, and some of this is going to depend on the kind of leagues you're in, right? And your situation, the rest of your lineup, whether you need a home run play or not. I don't know if Jamal Williams is what I consider a home run play this week, right? I don't think Matt Breida is. I think the Patriots will be fine on defense, right? So that's a little concerning for me. I like what Breida's done. He's a super fast player. Van Jefferson might be the home run play, right, in this matchup. It's the Jaguars. They are not good at the pass coverage. Matthew Stafford's been a little off his game. Don't know if Odell Beckham will play, though. But I like Van Jefferson a lot. If you go read my DFS 3-and-out column, I think he's a great, price play with upside this week. So I wouldn't mind playing him as well. But so this is what I wanted to talk about. Mostly in these cases, I'm not, I don't want you to play my hunches. I want you to play your hunches. If you have a hunch that this is a Van Jefferson game, and I have articles up right now at the footballdiehards.com website explaining why it might well be a Van Jefferson week. By all means, play your hunch, right? I mean, that's part of the fun of fantasy sports is it's your team. You get to do what you want. My hunches don't always align with yours. So what I'm going to try and do a better job of is telling you my hunches and telling you, the logical answer, right? Because there's emotion involved in this game. And I think the people who are most successful in this are the best at divorcing their emotions from the decision-making process. The emotions that come from investing in a player and having expectations and hopes. And, when you divorce the name from the numbers and you kind of try to be more objective, I tend to fare better. So those are the answers I give you, but that doesn't mean I don't play hunches. I do it all the time. And so I just want to encourage you, if you have hunches about players, and I'm sitting here telling you, I probably wouldn't do that. That doesn't mean you can't do that, right? It means I'm giving you my opinion on it. And you are just as smart as I am. You've been playing this game. So, don't be dismissive of your own gut feelings and your own instincts on these things. So with all that said, with that caveat out of the way, and I'm going to try and do a better job of giving you my, making sure when I have a hunch about a player and then explaining why, and then explaining the logic of why you probably should not play my hunch unless it's your hunch, and then play it with great gusto. So, Andrea, Jamal Williams or Devonte Williams? I want to play Devonte Williams in this. It's a great matchup. This looks like the first chance we'll get to see him, and maybe this is part of that divorcing emotions from the process that I've talked about. Anyone who's invested in Devonte Williams has been waiting for this moment, in case you have not heard. Melvin Gordon is listed as doubtful. Maybe we'll find out he didn't make the trip at some point today, right? That's entirely possible. That would cement this. But, he's listed as doubtful. Almost certainly, very few people play when they're doubtful. And I would have a hard time imagining he's ready for a full workload. So, we've all been waiting for that moment for Devonte Williams to be unleashed with a full workload. I want to play that. we kind of know what Jamal Williams can do, right? And I don't think it's a horrible matchup for Jamal Williams. We'll see what the game script's got to work in his favor to some degree, right? And I think it probably, they tend to fight it out and keep it close enough that, they can keep running the football. We've seen it with DeAndre Swift. And Williams has been plenty effective. So, Jamal. But in this one, Andrea, I'm playing Devonte for sure. Can't wait. Hi, Paul. The home stretch is here. Half-point PPR for the second flex. Daryl Williams, Matt Breida, Dawson Knox. So Daryl Williams looks like he could have an opportunity, right? Clyde Edwards-Helaire shows up as questionable on the injury report. Andy Reid says he's going to play, so and it's the Sunday night game. So you do have a Monday night fallback if you want to try that in Dawson Knox or Matt Breida, right? I'm probably avoiding Breida. Maybe I'm irrationally unenthusiastic about this. He looked great last week. I think the Patriots are going to be, are a tougher defense. Pretty tough defense. I mean, like the Saints are pretty tough too, right? They're good against the run, and Breida has a lot of speed, and he brings a little different energy to the backfield. I still wonder if we've seen, where the destination is, right? We saw Zach Moss as a healthy scratch last week. Do we see that again this week? Is it further diluted again? Like, the last time all three were on board, they all got about 6 carries, right? So that's the concern for me. I'm not sold on the workload. If you're more sold on it than I am, feel free. I'd probably play Dawson Knox at this bunch, Paul. The touchdowns have been coming. He's back up to a top 5 option at the position. If it wasn't him, it'd be Matt Breida, unless I hear. So maybe you just wait until Sunday night. If there is no Clyde Edwards-Helaire for some strange reason, and Andy Reid says there will be, then go ahead and play Daryl Williams. Otherwise, play your bill of choice. Mine would probably be, my gut feeling says play Dawson Knox, just because I don't have a great confidence in the workload. I mean, I think they want to get Breida the ball more. I just don't know if they'll continue to do it with, the same concerted effort that we saw against the Saints. So, and remember, the best goal line back on that team is still the quarterback, Josh Allen. So, but Breida gets it done from a little ways out. Like, I think we plumbed the depths of this pretty well. But my lean is to Dawson Knox here, and wouldn't talk you unless Daryl Williams is the clear path to workload. JR 16-16 Guillotine League, number 1 down to 6. Ooh. Need a running back, wide receiver, and flex. Darrell Henderson, Jamal Williams, Devonte Williams, Jay Waddle, T. Higgins. So I'd be a little worried about Bradbury too, but I probably wouldn't be to the point where I'd not play him. I'd play him over Higgins. I'm playing Devonte Williams. I'm probably playing, I'm playing him as the running back. And I think T. Higgins has been fine, right? It's not like I'm afraid to play T. Higgins. I just want to check my rankings and make sure, I'm not like that far off, see what the algorithm says, because sometimes it agrees with me and sometimes it doesn't. Yeah, the algorithm is kind of with me on this one, but it's not by a huge stretch. It's just the workload has been so consistent for Waddle, and we don't know if Devontae Parker's coming back or not yet. We'll find that out today. Maybe that makes the decision a little easier for me. They're close enough. Wouldn't talk you out of your guy if you prefer Higgins to Waddle, but Waddle would be my wide receiver, and I'm almost certain I would play Javonte Williams, and I'd probably play Jamal Williams for the volume. Remember, Darrell Henderson listed as questionable. That's always a concern. When I have a choice between healthy players and not healthy players, I tend to go with healthy players. And also, Jamal Williams' matchup is not bad. Iron Eddie, half-point PPR, need one quarterback. Need one, OBJ and Michael and Michelle. Oh, okay. Need one, OBJ and Michelle. Play Elijah Moore, 1 p.m. game, or wait and see. I mean, you have a pivot that's like not totally unreasonable in Ramondre Stevenson. I mean, it's not ideal, but I don't know that it's any worse than your current options. I don't have I'd probably wait and see if there is no. I'd wait it out. With Zach Wilson at quarterback, who knows what you're getting from Elijah Moore? If we saw the first half of last week's game in a great matchup, Zach Wilson, we're not going to get anything from these guys, right? And Corey Davis could be back as well. Maybe that makes it even easier. So I'm going to probably wait it out. And if there is no Michelle, I'm not that interested in playing OBJ. I mean, obviously he can make plays, right? I'm not denying that. But I'm not that eager to play him. I like other pieces in that offense a little better. So that's a pretty convoluted, complex issue there. So just to make sure I'm not reading it wrong, OBJ and Michelle, don't have Henderson, play more. So yeah, I'm waiting to see if there's Henderson. I'll play Michelle if there isn't. And I'd wait over Moore, and if not, I'd wait and see and play Stevenson. If James Robinson can't go, do you Noah Fant, Russell Gage, or Sanders? Probably Fant in that one, Joe, and not feeling really great. It's been really hard to figure out which of the outliers, and so like generally a wide receiver one over a tight end. One tight end that's kind of fallen down to the tail end of the ranks of tight end ones, right? But in this case, Russell Gage is not playing like a wide receiver one. This passing attack isn't working. When it does work, it works best through Cordero Patterson. Like all things in Atlanta, work best through Cordero Patterson. So, Gage could have a big game. It's Tampa Bay. They're probably going to have to be throwing the hell out of the football. So I wouldn't talk you out of that one if you have that hunch, but not for me. I'm probably going in the other direction there. And that would be the Fant direction. Just because I can't trust Sanders. Mike Williams or Damian Harris this week. I'm going to play Damian Harris. I still think the workload for him has been solid. I know it's a tough matchup against the Bills, or perceived tough matchup. I mean, people have run on them, right? So I think the Patriots will continue to try and run the ball. And it seems like Harris gets the goal line work, so I'd probably go with that over Williams. He just hasn't been trustworthy, right? The Pittsburgh game was great, but it was a blown coverage that got him the big part of his success in that game. It just hasn't been great in general. So I'm just going to retweet something here while I'm on it. Retweet this very conversation so people will find us. Stay by. I'm right here. All right. Martin, James Robinson issues. If he is out, need one Gesicki, Jefferson, or Burkhead. Oh, Burkhead. What is it? Like 30 touches over the last two games. Oh my gosh. And they're horrible though. So the funny thing about the Texans, and this goes back to, I think Sarah Barshop reported this, and I think she's correct, right? They don't really care how effective the running game is. They just want to run just to take some pressure off the passing attack and keep opposing defenses honest. So Rex Burkhead's, close to 15 to 20 carries are going for 2 yards each. They don't really care. They're still going to do it. And that's about what they're going for. So I probably would avoid Burkhead if I didn't have to. I'd probably rank them the way you have them. I mean, I like Jefferson an awful lot this week. I wonder if it's irrational. But I might play him over Gesicki at this point. Did you hear anything on Daryl Henderson playing? Says Andrea. Yes, I hear that they are optimistic. I mean, Sean McVay has basically said all along that he expects him to play. I don't know if he expected him to practice. He hasn't done a lot of that. So that's a little bit of concern, right? So I'd be watching this one. I'd feel skeptical about it until I see it. And it's a late afternoon kickoff, so you're going to have to deal with that, Andrea. And that's always a hassle. With Waller out, 1.5 point PPR, Freiermuth or Moreau. I'd probably play Freiermuth over Moreau. I like Moreau just fine, though. Also, you'll find him in my DFS 3 and out column. FootballDiehards.com. It's a website where I work at. You will find many things there that will interest you, all kinds of DFS content, which is translatable, by the way, to your season long. If you go and read the analysis on my DFS 3 and out column, you can kind of apply that to your season long as well. A lot of talk about matchups and workloads and things like that. Also, same with Jamie Calandro's stuff, Justin Llanero stuff, John Loud stuff. So plenty of things to work through there, as well as just the usual assortment of news and updates and analysis that I include in the articles, especially heavily on Saturday. So check those out on Saturday. So yeah, I like Freiermuth a little better. A little number I heard this morning on Good Morning Football is the Steelers are like 6-2 in games, following like 20-point losses. They tend to come back with a little bit of a vengeance. So there's some hope there. The one thing, just double check. I have no concerns that Freiermuth isn't going to play, but coming off a concussion, guys can have they can have symptoms come back at any point. We've seen this before. He practiced fully all week. And is not on the injury report to end the week. So I'm guessing he is cleared. I haven't heard officially that he's cleared. So watch that. I'm watching for that today. So check the website and see if anything comes up. And we'll check the inactives tomorrow. And if, there's something goes wrong, you can always pivot to Freiermuth because he's late afternoon kickoff as well. They're both in the late afternoon window. Herbert or Stafford? This is the question you ask every week, Scott. And I mean, this is kind of more of a you question than me question, I think, every week. I'm probably leaning Stafford, or I'm leaning Herbert over Stafford this week. So there's that. We all know the upside for both these guys, and we all have seen the downside on the regular. Boston Scott, Crowder, or AJ Green. I'd probably like to play Boston Scott if he's active of that group, but I don't know that he will be. He's had the illness, hasn't practiced all week. It's a little bit of a concern, right? It's a great matchup, obviously, the Jets. So you'd probably like to, get a piece of that. I could probably play Crowder, and look, maybe if there's no DeAndre Hopkins again, just go ahead and play Green. One of the concerns, though, is the heavy coverage goes to him that maybe would go to Hopkins. Well, that's a tough one, man. I'd probably play I think Green and Crowder have the more certain roles. I just don't know what I would expect from Scott after a full week of not practicing. It's a conundrum there, Scott. Dominic Conti, good morning. Full PPR. Who is the best tight end to pick up on waivers to replace Waller, Moreau, Everett, Doyle, O'Shaughnessy, and also for the following weeks, too, in case. So I'd probably give Moreau. He's a plug-and-play threat. When we say plug-and-play, you're kind of like, what does that mean? Is he going to be Darren Waller? No, but he's going to get a fair portion of that workload. We've seen the games where, we saw it on Thanksgiving when Waller went out, the workload was significant. They basically just ran him the same number of routes. He doesn't run the same routes, right? He doesn't line up the same way. He's not a guy that's beating cornerback coverage, but he's a pretty good guy. He's not as athletic, but gets the job done. They liked him an awful lot when they drafted him, and I think he's a great play. I think the workload would be consistent over the course of time if Waller misses more than one game. So that seems like the obvious pivot to me, and then you're all set when Waller comes back. Let's see. I think I've gone too far there. Pardon me. A lot of questions. I'm working through them. Wow. Dontrell Hilliard or Chase Edmonds? Well, you can't play. Oh, rest of season. Hey, that's tough. I mean, I guess we're worried a little bit about Hilliard. Is that role going to remain as robust as it's been the last couple games when Jeremy McNichols is back? I mean, it's entirely possible that Hilliard has earned, a little more, earned that role. I mean, maybe he gets to keep it. I don't know that I've seen so much from McNichols that what he's done, over the course of time puts him ahead of Hilliard. So Chase Edmonds' role we had a little more confidence in, going in. It had been pretty solid, and I'd probably rather lean him. It's a really high-powered offense, doesn't have some of the issues the Titans have, so probably leaning to Chase Edmonds. Sounds like he'll be back, if not next week, then shortly thereafter. So if that's an issue, you need somebody on hand certainly for next week. And I know Cliff Kingsbury suggested it could be a Week 14 return, but that's still not certain either. So that's something we'll have to watch. So if you need someone like a short-term, also, then probably Hilliard is the play there. Watch out for the snow and windy in Baltimore on Monday. Yes, winter conditions in Winterlands. They get crazy in Buffalo. So we will watch out for that. I wonder how windy. Do we know, Andrea? Iron Eddie, Flex, Moreau, Jacoby Myers, Ramondre, or Devonte Parker. So I'm guessing it's Devonte Parker. We don't know that Devonte Parker's been activated yet because he hasn't been activated yet. We know he hasn't been yet. How about I say it like that, like it actually is? We don't know that he's been activated yet. Could happen today. If it does happen, it's going to be by 4. So Washington just elevated Wendell Smallwood, which we kind of knew was going to happen. If you read my update from Friday, that was the plan with McKissick out, was to play Smallwood in that role, not Jarrett Patterson, because he's not a receiver. He's a runner. So no surprise there. So, watch for that. But I'm probably not going to play Parker anyway the first game back. I'm probably playing Moreau. I like him an awful lot. Wouldn't talk you out of Ramondre Stevenson. Iron Eddie, full PPR. Not guaranteed a playoff spot yet. Just hold AB or pick up Julio Jones, who is maybe back next week. I mean, it hasn't been great with Julio. What is my expectation there? It's not, it's not great. I mean, it was great with Brown when he was back, but it's going to be at least, week 15. So you're not going to have him until week 16. How long does it take him to work his way back into the mix? That's a conundrum. I'm holding Brown in the leagues where I have him, and I wouldn't have that much interest in Julio Jones. So that's kind of where we're at. If you need a body right away, though, yes, Julio. Or sooner. Running back challenges, Jimmy. With bye week and injuries in many leagues, I have to play many of these this week. Burkhead, Hines, Jeff Wilson. Sony Michel, Ronald Jones, appreciate your input. So, Ronald Jones has gotten some touchdown work. I mean, he's definitely playing second fiddle there. I think the hope here is, and I'm just trying to work the time of the game, kickoff times. I don't know if you have a lot of viable options to wait around for Michel. Actually, everyone else is in the early window, right? So that doesn't give you a lot of leeway there. I was hoping maybe you have someone to fall back on. If you wanted to wait out and see if Daryl Henderson's playing for sure, because it'd be an easy call then. Michel would be it for sure. I'm probably playing, Burkhead for the sure workload, but I mean, it's going to be minimal output. I don't know that I trust Wilson's workload. I don't trust Hines' workload. I like Hines. I think he's the best player on the list. But man, Jonathan Taylor is kind of cutting back on his receiving role. I like Jonathan Taylor's kind of become the full service back there, and you don't see him come off a lot. So that's the problem there. I'm tempted to say wait it out for Michel and go Jeff Wilson if not, because I don't know that he's that much worse than any of these other options, but he is a pretty bad option. I'd be watching. Maybe we hear something more on Henderson at some point today. We'll hear something overnight. So, check the website early Sunday morning. I generally have overnight reporting. I know the reporting right now has been Sean McVay will be surprised if Odell Beckham doesn't play, and I've basically said the same of Henderson. So it's probably not a great play. So I'd probably wait it out. Oh, that's horrible. Oh, I missed one. Hi, Steve. Sorry, I missed you. Need two of these three wide receivers, Mooney, Pittman, and Devonte Smith. Probably the first two for me. Arizona's really good at defending the deep ball, and that's where Mooney does most of his work. But I'm probably still going that way. He gets the work, right? The targets have been robust the last couple weeks. Even if he doesn't catch them all, and he doesn't, it's less than half. It's like about 40% that he's caught. The big plays come to the fore. The Cardinals are, I think, sixth best in the league at stopping the deep pass. So a little concern there, but not as much concern with Devonte Smith, where you don't know how much they're going to throw the ball any given week. All right. No, Mo Diesel, drop 2. Russell Wilson, Bateman, Sony Michel, Stevenson, Van Jefferson. Maybe Mo Diesel, when you give me a list like that, it's just like a sea of names. I'm not sure what you want. Drop 2. Okay. I don't know. There's not a lot of context there. I'm not really sure what you want. You want me to drop 2? I'm dropping Russell Wilson as 1, and I'll drop. I'm not eager to play any of these guys. I'll probably drop a Bateman. Okay, so if you're playing Kirk Cousins every week, and I wouldn't blame you if you did. Do you need a second quarterback? That's the issue. We're sitting here waiting for Russell Wilson to come around and turn back into Russell Wilson. Meanwhile, Kirk Cousins is playing pretty well, right? So I'm probably playing Cousins every week just while he's on this roll and not playing Russell Wilson until he turns up good. So if I have to decide at positions of scarcity, I'm guessing you'll be able to find another quarterback if something happens on the waiver wire. JR 1616, Hawkinson, Pitts, or Logan Thomas. Probably. I like I'm going to check the rankings on this one. Hawkinson is overall like the third most productive tight end in fantasy somehow, and I don't know how. I'm not playing Pitts. I'm probably. Boy, I can make a pretty good argument for Logan Thomas. The rankings say totally opposite of what I'm thinking. So there's that. The rankings say Pitts, and mostly that's just workload, I think, right? People have been covering him well. It's just when you're the only weapon, it makes it a little difficult. But definitely he's getting the targets. So probably the smart play is Hawkinson, split the middle. My hunch is Logan Thomas. And thank you. We will. I don't know if we'll be on. I don't know. Maybe things will change next season on the series. We'll see. There's been talk. Hi, I'm Terrence. Scrambling for a PPR wide receiver this week. Mike Williams, Bateman, or OBJ if he plays. I'd probably play Mike Williams with that bunch right there. I think Williams is capable of making big plays and as OBJ at this point, and he's more integrated in the offense. He's got a role, and he's been a piece of it for a while. So, and I trust his quarterback slightly more than I trust Stafford. If you heard that, Scott Covey, maybe that's further indication of solidifying my opinion on your question. Steve, half-point PPR, need 3 of the 4 running backs: Montgomery, James Robinson, Devonte Williams, and Antonio Gibson. I'm probably, maybe the decision's made for you. It's a late afternoon game for Robinson. I think they're in Los Angeles. You can just avoid the guy who's beat up. I'd probably rather play him over David Montgomery. It just hasn't been going well for him, right? But the kickoffs might dictate that for you. So if that's a concern, if Robinson's health is a concern, the possibility of him not being active, he is questionable. I think he'll continue playing as he has been. It was weird. They took him out of the game a fair amount. He had a fumble last week, and they took him out of the game. They had Carlos Hyde in there a lot. It seemed like not that great, right? So, Williams is not right. Or Robinson is not right. I don't, nobody should pretend that he's 100%, but he's still the best player in that offense. So I would prefer to play him over David Montgomery. If you have problems with the questionable tag, play Montgomery, Devonte Williams, and Antonio Gibson. Williams and Gibson are locked in. Need 2, Renfro, T. Higgins, and Pittman. Hi, Jesse. I love playing Renfro every week. I'm going to see how much the algorithm disagrees with my hunches. Where do we have Renfro, Higgins. Yeah. So my hunch is backed up by the rankings. Damn it, I hate when that happens. I like Pittman a lot this week in this matchup. I know he's been boom bust. It seems like a good week for a boom. Even with T.Y. Hilton being, the guy who tends to destroy the Texans on this roster, I'm probably going with Pittman, and I'm going to lean Renfro myself. But the rankings. What was the other one? Yeah, the rankings lean slightly to Higgins. It's like 19-20. I like Renfro a little bit, but it's that close. So that's my hunch is Renfro over Higgins. It just seems like the Bengals are very satisfied running the ball. They're very good at running the ball. The Chargers are horrible at stopping the run. This seems like another big Joe Mixon game to me. So that's why I'm leaning slightly away from Higgins. Gibson or Devonte Williams? Damn it! I want to play Gibson because the volume's been great. And so I'm probably going to play Gibson. But, man, Devonte Williams with a full workload. We've been waiting for this, right? And the Chiefs aren't great at stopping the run. Hey, that's brutal. Brutal decision. Gibson seems like the wise play to me, Jesse. I play Freiermuth in the flex. Jerry Jeudy was really weird last week. He has he was number 3 on the list, right? It was Tim Patrick getting the most snaps, Cortland Sutton getting the next most snaps, and then way down the list is Jeudy. And also, they just haven't had a lot of passing volume in this offense. I love Jerry Jeudy as a player, so that's a tough call. But my hunch is Freiermuth. I think the logical choice is Jeudy, just based on his role in the offense. But damn, it's been hit or miss, right? So down the stretch and into the playoffs, does your philosophy change from early in the season in terms of waivers or lineup decisions? Well, ideally, I'm kind of got things honed in and I'm not out on the waiver wire too much, although I have been a fair amount this week, or I will be here as soon as we get the first come, first serve in all my leagues. So I'll have some pieces to move. But ideally, I've cut back, my rosters are heavy with guys who can play and not guys that, you're thinning out the guys you've been holding on to just in case. Like Allen Robinson. I don't know that it's going to happen for him. So I want to find a player who I can play every week. I don't think I can play Allen Robinson every week, right? So off he goes. So that's kind of the philosophy there is, start jettisoning the dead weight, the pieces that I've been waiting for, the Phillip Lindsays, the free square players, right? The guys who, and by the way, just when Lindsay starts to show signs of life, he hurts his ankle. Damn it. So I'm basically thinning out, some of the guys that I've been holding on to with hopes of emergences. And, that's pretty much the philosophy. I want to have players who can play every week and not guys that are just dead weight. Claypool or Jeudy? Probably going to play Claypool in this one, Jesse. Thoughts on Calvin Ridley? Would you keep him rostered? And if so, Let's see. And if so, we think we have no idea, when he's going to be back, right? I mean, they're not saying anything, and I don't know that we'll see him back. So he would be a prime example of guys I'm probably cutting dead weight. He's it, right? And no offense to him. I mean, I'm sure he has a serious issue, and I hope he gets it taken care of. But at this point, I don't see any timetable. Also, it wasn't that he was that great when he was available, right? So, I mean, I don't see any need to keep him. If I can find players who will help me out right now, I want that. If he is not available to fill his bench spot with a cuff running back. So, I mean, that's what I'd be looking to do. I'd be looking to get handcuffs, whether it's, whether you have to trade with somebody or whatever, or, that would be my objective right now, more so than holding on to a guy like Ridley. Half-point PPR, have an open roster spot. Hilliard, McNichols, Samaje, Arjo. It'd be one of those first two. And, I mean, then, I kind of ran through the issues earlier. But, has Hilliard earned that role with his performance? I mean, there's a reasonable argument to say he has. We say in the NFL, players don't lose their jobs to injury. That's not true. They do it all the time. So, and also, I don't know how great McNichols was before he was hurt, right? I mean, he hasn't been playing at Dontrell Hilliard levels, right? So, but maybe they revert right back. I mean, that's the problem with this situation. You're, making speculative plays. I mean, obviously, if you have Joe Mixon, yes, Samaje Perine. If you have Leonard Fournette, yes, Ronald Jones. Otherwise, those guys are getting leftovers, and to me, they're not playable weekly commodities. If it had to be one of them, it would be Ronald Jones. How much do I trust Damien Harris against the Bills? I trust him more than I trust Bateman. I trust Fryer. I feel better about Freiermuth than I do about Hawkinson, but I think, on the whole, the numbers have been better for Hawkinson, just stepping back. Again, seems weird to believe, but he's like tight end 3 over the course of the season. He's just been up and down. The highs have been high and the lows have been low. I think Freiermuth is great. I think he's a solid every week play, a great red zone target, something that, the Steelers do more of than the Lions to score, except when they play each other, then they score exactly the same, apparently. So yeah, my hunch here is Freiermuth. I think the logic says Hawkinson. Would I prefer Julio or Bateman the rest of the season? I love Bateman. A little concerning last week that his snap count went way down, right? He was below 50%. I like him as a talent. I think he's a good player. I think he should have a role. I think I'd rather have Julio Jones, assuming he's going to be on the field. But that's the problem with him any given week. Seems a little rough, right? So would prefer an on the field Julio to an on the field Bateman, but not by a ton. How about that, Taryn? Would I drop Devonte Smith for Darnell Mooney? Probably yes. I mean, it's pretty even. I mean, the big games for, Smith have been phenomenal. It's just, clearly that's not the plan, throwing the football, right? And for the Bears, it's difficult to throw the football, but when they do, one guy benefits from it for the most part. It's Darnell Mooney, and, he's got, 120-yard games back to back. I'm thinking he tones it down a little bit this week, but that seems to be where, that seems to be his role, is capable of giving that. He needs to catch more balls. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I mentioned it earlier. He's only caught about 41%, I think, of his targets the last 2 weeks. Yet still he has that huge production. I think I'm going with that. Over Devonte Smith. David Langton, I have Damien Harris, Antonio Gibson, Elijah Mitchell. I need to choose 2 of the 3. I'm choosing the second 2 of those 3. Gibson and Elijah Mitchell. The workloads are rock solid. J.D. McKissick's absence helps, right? They just promoted while we were talking here, according to my super smart watch, that they just promoted Wendell Smallwood. I don't know that I would expect him to step right into the J.D. McKissick role, right? I mean, he gives them some of that, but, he's coming off the practice squad. So easy call there. Brad Stewart, full PPR. Need to sit one, unfortunately. I'm sitting Montgomery of that group. I mean, that's almost easy. It's just not been great, right? I mean, Marquis, the workload's been there. The production is not. I don't know how excited I am against the Cardinals this week, but the Bears' best hope for success is running the football, yet they're not running the football very well. And Andy Dalton, I guess, threw the ball well enough last week, so there we have it. So yes, that's an easy call of the list of guys you have. Any news on Darrell Henderson's status for tomorrow? Other than questionable and expected to play, that's where we're at. If you're interested, this is probably a good time for me to remind you. I have a website called footballdiehards.com. You should go there. If you're not signed up, you should sign up. If you're not signed up and you need to do the purchase, use the promo code Diehards. I believe this is a prorated price at this point, obviously, but you still get 15% off if you use the promo code because we're good people. Tons of content there, including all the latest news. And one of the things we do, Brian, overnight is I'll put up all the insider info. All the insiders start barking out what they're hearing from sources or been hearing from sources, and we kind of compile it all in one spot. So you get in the look for the headlines that say early report, and you'll find the latest on all these guys. I do have reporting up on them right now that the local observers tend to think they're going to play. But I'm a little worried about Henderson. He's not practiced, so it's interesting. So that's what we've heard, and I would watch for the overnight reporting, and maybe we get a little more clarity heading into the afternoon. And I would have some fallbacks ready in that late afternoon window, right? Scott Kobe, 20 to 30 miles per hour wind gusts, past 30 in Buffalo. He read 40 to 60. That's pretty significant, 40 to 60, right? So I guess, do we want me to do my weather rant? Has everyone not heard this yet? So football is a winter sport. It's been played in inclement weather since the beginning of time, or since the beginning of my time, which is like the beginning of time. And like offense is compiled. Like, is it ideal? No. And so what I use it as a hair splitter, right? So, 40 to 60 mile an hour gusts are pretty bad, right? So I'm probably looking to avoid that if I can. But am I going to choose like Zach Wilson over Josh Allen because it's really windy in Buffalo? Probably not, right? Do I get down into a different range of players where I'm going, oh, okay, well, maybe I have like a viable option. Maybe somehow you drafted Josh Allen super early and you got Tom Brady late. Well, I'm going to go ahead and play Tom Brady in the confines, the comfortable confines, right? So, that's where I'm at on weather. Snow, rain, those don't really affect football that much. The way the players' gloves and everything work, the receivers' gloves, it's, they're pretty tacky. They can catch wet balls, and, ball security is not an issue. And again, I'm not pretending it's ideal because it's not, but that's how football works. It's played in the winter time. And the weather conditions have not prevented teams from scoring over the course of the history of the game to the degree that we think it does every time we look at a game we're about to invest in where there's weather. But the wins, if I'm worried about something, it's worried about the wins. Josh Allen or Matt Stafford, I'm probably still playing. So I think Stafford's a viable option there. I'm still playing Allen personally because of his rushing equity. I think it's a pretty good offense. It's a tough matchup, right? Much easier matchup for Stafford. It's just I'd like to see him play better. So this is one where you play with your hunch. We have two quarterbacks who are in the top 10 here, right? Me pretending I can tell you that I am able to predict with the granularity that says, okay, within that top tier, we do that, but honestly, it's a projection, right? So they're both top 10 quarterbacks. If you feel like, hey, I want to avoid this matchup, I want to avoid this weather, I'm going to play Matt Stafford in a great matchup. He's at home. All these things that work in his favor, I think that's perfectly reasonable. 18 miles an hour in Chicago and Buffalo. I don't know. 18 miles an hour does not scare me. That's a breeze, kids. Yeah, the gusts of 40 is gusts of 60 is significant. Gusts of 40, wouldn't actually put me off a game, right? I'm probably still, yeah. I tend to be like I'm injury agnostic. I'm weather agnostic, right? I can remember I was sitting at the FanDuel World Championship one year where Travis Spieth won the $1 million, and he did it with a bunch of guys in a game that was so snowy, the Eagles-Detroit game, you couldn't see the field, right? And that's what investing in players in that game won the game. So, yeah. anecdotal examples. There are plenty of studies out there. John Paulson at 444 did a great one. Just in general, that whether it doesn't have the impact we think it does. Half point PPR, Claypool and Elijah Moore. I'm thinking Higgins here. I mean, Claypool's been playing good. He's just not, the offense is so dominated. I'm going to go ahead and play Higgins here. I agree with the rankings for a change. Look at me go. Claypool, I mean, he's looked good. And Elijah Moore, I mean, I just don't have a lot of faith yet in Zach Wilson, right? I mean, and what if there's no Corey Davis and he's like looking at Darius Slay all day? Yeah, I'll avoid that one. Lima W. Who do I start? Pick 2. Goddard, Ty Johnson, Matt Breida, or Rex Burkhead. Sadly, I would probably play Ty Johnson and Matt Breida out of those two. If you wanted to substitute Dallas Goedert in for either of them, I would not talk you out of it. I'm just not doing it, man. That's passing offense. It's hard to rely on there. Jimmy Williams, do you think the Bengals-Chargers game becomes a shootout? If so, what players truly benefit from it? I don't know if it's allowed to become a shootout because I think the Bengals are working hard to make sure games don't become shootouts, right? That's kind of been what their lane is. They're running the hell out of Joe Mixon. The passing volume has been down. So I don't know if it becomes a shootout. But I don't think that keeps it from being high scoring. I think we could have a nice back and forth with good, solid drives. And, of course, both quarterbacks are capable of making plays, right? So, I mean, I think the players that I'm looking at in this game that I'm like totally in on are obviously Mixon and Eckler, right? Beyond that, I think you can still play Keenan Allen. Mike Hilton's a tough matchup for him. I think it's a tough matchup for Mike Williams individually as well. I think on the other side, Jamar Chase hasn't made the kind of plays he was making earlier in the season because defenses are adjusting for him. And also, I mean, just that passing volume's down. T. Higgins has been getting a fair amount of red zone targets as well. So I think it just gets divided up a little bit more there than I like. Yes, Jimmy Williams. Hit the like, shares, and subscribe buttons. I appreciate that. I appreciate everyone showing up every week. It's very kind of you. Like sitting here kind of working through the issues. Hope it's helpful to all of you just to have a sounding board and, test your ideas against my ideas. I'm not sitting here pretending I know every damn thing on earth. My job is to make you people expert, not me be the expert. So I know that's kind of like throwing around a lot of fantasy expert or whatever. I like to think of it. We're professionals, right? Our job is making you experts. And I think I'm pretty good at that. And a lot of that content and how I do that is at the website. If you aren't familiar with it, it's footballdiehards.com. You should go there, check it out, subscribe, get a discount if you use promo code Diehards. We have great staff there. Casey Joyner's Saturday morning sit-start injury report is up. He'll update that Sunday morning. We'll have Brad Cruz, one of the top high-stake players in the world. His sit-start will be available. We do a Thursday and Saturday edition of that. Every round of games, we have Drew Phelps, one of my producers at Sirius, does great prop bet pieces. Just kind of throws that out there. They directly correlate to the fantasy world as well, and it kind of give you advice on that. So very enjoyable reads of those. Justin Lanero, myself, Jamie Calandro, John Laub putting out plenty of DFS content. Jamie and John and Justin do a great job of that. Gary Davenport handling the IDP rankings and our shadow report gives you a great idea of what kind of coverages that some of the top receivers are going to be facing, if they'll be shadowed or if not. And so just tons of great stuff there. And there's staff rankings, right, which I'm looking at here. These are generated by an algorithm. Emil Cadlick and I go in and make adjustments to them as the week goes on and make adjustments based on what the latest news is. There are links to all the players. You'll find, if there's an article about a player, you'll find a link directly to it that gives you all the latest information there. So great stuff there. Hope you take advantage of that. One more PPR question from Steve Linder. He says, flex Devonte Smith, Jamal Williams, Javonte Williams. Javonte Williams, please. And Jamal Williams over Javonte Smith. Play chasing the volume here, Steve. Colts or Vikings D this week. I'll go ahead and play, there's not a wrong answer here. I'm playing the Colts because I think they get more opportunities because Houston, they'll throw more. I think there'll be more passing by the Texans than by the Lions. Guillotine number 2, PPR need 2 and 2 flex. Need an RB and 2 flexes. Daryl Henderson, David Montgomery, Miles Sanders versus Jets, Pittman. So JR, this is, difficult because your level of risk tolerance. I mean, do you want to wait around for Daryl Henderson and then make the pivot to, what does that leave you, Mike Williams? I mean, or do you just want the safe plays? Right now, Miles Sanders to me is locked in. I think I'd lock in Pittman, and might be worth my time waiting around for Henderson and play Williams if he's not going, then over Montgomery. But if you want to play it safe all the way around, I play Montgomery, not playing Devonte Smith with those other options. Hi, 513 rookie. Good to see you again. Well, thanks for coming. Gronk or Marquis Brown? Damn, that's a tough one. I mean, Gronk is on a roll, right? I'm probably going to play Gronk in this one. But I'm not against Marquis Brown. This is not a knock on Marquis Brown or the bad passing game last week by Lamar Jackson. I think Brown is a great play. I just would rather I think Gronk has just been on fire and he's locked in with Brady and the touchdown equity is there. I'll go with that. They're throwing a hell of a lot of passes to Marquis Brown. This is the conundrum, right? But I think for me it's Gronk. Keep rolling with the pass defense. Special teams. Great. Kansas City is also stepping it up. I'd stick with the Patriots myself, even against the Bills. Mahomes or Cousins. I'm probably playing Mahomes in that one. I just want to see how far apart they are in the rankings. And it's, Mahomes is not in the top half of the, top 12, right? He's in the bottom half, but still I'd play him over Cousins. I think Cousins is a fine play. If you have a hunch, it's not crazy to play him, given the matchups. Do you think Tampa Bay passing game gets back on track this week, or do you think it's another Leonard Fournette week? Well, Leonard Fournette's been a big part of the passing attack, Scott, so both can be true. But I think there'll be plenty of throwing. It's like I think Leonard Fournette said it this week. It's December football, man. You want to run the ball. Ask the Bengals. You want to run the ball. The running backs always want to run the ball, but he's been a big part of the passing attack as well, so he'll have his piece. My guess is they're always going to be a pass-heavier team with Tom Brady at the helm. Generally, big picture over the course of time. I mean, you're not going to have a ton of Leonard Fournette 3 rushing touchdown 100-yard days. Would be my bet. Dennis Montal, Burkhead, Emmanuel Sanders, Daryl Williams, pick 2, full PPR. I mean, I'm so uninspired by Burkhead. What I'd like to do is wait till Sunday night, see if there is no Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and I think there will be, right? He's got the stomach flu. Sounds like they'll have him ready to play. Andy Reid didn't have expressed great concern, but he is listed as questionable. I'd take that chance, wait it on Daryl Williams, and play Emmanuel Sanders if I had to as a fallback. Not enthusiastically, but, man, I can't go with the Texans. Any Texans not named Brandon Cooks, it's hard for me to play. Andrea's playing Josh Allen. I would too, right? I mean, I wouldn't let these guys are used to playing in their home field conditions, and they also realize it's winter. I'm playing Josh Allen as well. And part of that is his rushing ability, Andrew, right? Andrew McGrady, Connor, J-Rob, Madison, Javonte Williams. Start 2. Ay vey. I mean, so I like them all. So let's just say, James Robinson is not 100%, so let's take him out. He's listed as questionable. So late afternoon kickoff, let's save ourselves that trouble, even though you could easily fall back. I'm playing Javonte Williams for sure. I'm playing, it comes down to the Madison-Connor question. Man, that's impossible, right? Madison gets a huge workload. I mean, if you want to play that workload, I'm fine playing that workload. That's what our rankings say. They would prefer that. I'm trying to see by how much. More than I do. So that seems more than reasonable. Madison and Javonte. And I try to find a flex spot where I could get Connor in there, damn it. What's up with Galladay? Is it okay to start him this week? Yes, it's okay to start him this week. Just keep your expectations very low, right? He's not that number one receiver that or not even the Giants' number one receiver necessarily, even when no one else is there. They do seem to be making a more concerted effort to get him the ball with Freddie Kitchens. That seems to be one of his priorities. Last week, they got him some key throws. He didn't make all the catches. Also this week, Mike Lennon is the starter. There's going to be a lot of pressure on him in this game in particular. So, man, I'm not eager to play Galladay. It's okay to start him. I think the workload will be there. Just wouldn't be eager to do it. Harris or Stevenson for RB2 against Buffalo. The 1-point PPR. So, I mean, the 1-point PPR maybe gives a little lean to Stevenson, I'm guessing. For me, I still think of the two, all things being equal. I'm playing Harris over Stevenson because he has a great last name. Also, because the role seems to be, still seems to, he's the first guy on the field, right? So if he gets hot or gets rolling and he gets the goal line opportunities, I like him a little better. But I do think Stevenson brings a little more in the PPR format. So it's pretty close. Let me just double check and see what the rankings say. I think they agree with me last time I looked. Stevenson, yep. So both have them both ranked as running back twos in that same tier. So, I mean, maybe the PPR in this game splits the difference for you. Hi, JM. Pick 2, Hawkinson, Sutton, Miles Sanders, Claypool. I'll go ahead and go with Miles Sanders and Claypool in this one. I wouldn't talk you out of Hawkinson. Sutton, man, it's just there's not been a huge passing volume, right, for the Broncos. And I'm hoping there won't be because we all want to see what Devonte Williams does without Melvin Gordon around. All right, we're running low on time. I should pound through some of these and make sure I get them on. Who will win? Team A? I don't know. Well, hide the chosen rows. That's a difficult thing just to throw out there. I don't have the calculations in front of me. So, I mean, my gut feeling, Lamar, Miles Sanders, Tevin Coleman, Lockett, Waddle. My gut feeling is team 2. The chosen rows, Judy Kirk, Gage, or Josh Reynolds. Probably like him in that order. I have an irrational interest in Josh Reynolds just because of his connection with Jared Goff and that he pulled my ass out of the fire last week when I had to play him out of total necessity and scored the touchdown. I don't think the Lions scored enough touchdowns to make that like a realistic expectation every week. You can say the same with Justin Gage or Russell Gage though, right? Probably playing those first two and dealing with it. I'm going to just get a feel for where Gage is at in the rankings. I mean, yeah, that's probably where I'm at. I mean, Kirk and Gage is pretty even. If there, maybe do this. If there's no DeAndre Hopkins, maybe go Kirk. If not, go Gage. That seems like a reasonable split. Would I start Arizona over the Patriots defense? I'd consider it. I mean, I think they're pretty close, but the Patriots have been money every week. Maybe this is not the week for them to be money, but I'd have a hard time sitting them. The Cardinals, very good, very disruptive group, and they're playing against the Bears who don't block well. I think that's plenty reasonable play. It sounds like, since you're asking, you might have a hunch for Arizona. I wouldn't disagree with that hunch. Would you stop Robbie Gould? Sure. Given the weather conditions, sure. Maybe kickers are the difference there. Tyler Heineke over Josh Allen this week? Not for me. Rondale Moore or Josh Reynolds in the flex play? I'd probably play Josh Reynolds in that one. Amir Abdullah starting for Carolina after the bye. No, they say Chuba Hubbard will start, but I think Amir Abdullah will have a role. But Chuba Hubbard will be the primary guy. It's basically what the local observers are saying. Montgomery or Lockett? Yeah, laws of flexology there, Brad. Definitely. Even if it's lousy, hard to trust that Seattle passing game. I'm going to need to stream a QB next week, JM says, and get ahead of the waiver. I'm thinking, yeah, that's how it goes. I'd probably go to Heineke over that. If you throw me a list of options out, I would tell you that, JM, but I like Heineke over Tyrod. There's not enough offense there. Does the Detroit game plan change with Williams in and Swift out? It doesn't seem like it will, right? It seems like, Scott, that Dan Campbell only has one approach, and it's very conservative, right? And it's understandable, right? I think that's their best chance of winning games. Because we saw them, the heavy usage, especially against Pittsburgh, got them a tie. Also got their running back beat up, but that's where the shoulder started. Chosen rows would not do well in the blitz. Memphis, Depay, full PPR need to start someone at the flex, Gronk or Lockett. I want Gronk, please. Until that Seattle offense is working, I'm probably looking for reasons not to play the Seattle offense. It's been horrible, right? Thank you all very much. Yes, later today on Sirius Channel 87 and 88. So what he is referring to, if you don't listen to me on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio, it's the Football Diehard Show, We're on Mondays and Thursday nights at 10 p.m. Also on Saturdays, we're on from 5 to 7 Eastern time. 5 to 7, yes. 5 to 7, I got to get my time zones right. 5 to 7 Eastern time on the Fantasy Channel. Today's guest will be Armando Marçal from Guru Elite. And then we jump over to NFL Radio from 8 to 11 p.m. We'll have Jamie Calandro from Football Diehards on to talk DFS. We'll have Liz Loza from Yahoo on joining us for a half hour. So check that out. And then Sunday morning, Jeff Mans and I will be on the pregame show on SiriusXM from 11 to 1. Also, check out, we have the pregame video with Jamie and Jason Brady on the site. Make sure you check that out. They go over DFS ownership percentages and all that kind of fun. So definitely a lot there. There'll be other videos up. I'll be doing my injury overview video. Casey Joyner updating his injury report sit start early Sunday. We'll have the Brad Cruz's sit start as well. So tons of content, and also all the DFS content. John Lobbs, the Scholar Sheet of DraftKings Knowledge. I believe we'll have a line of scrimmage cash game show tonight after taking last week off for the Thanksgiving holiday. John Lobb will be back with that, so that's great stuff there. Can't not watch that. Love the Scholar. Jamie Calandro, his best DFS DraftKings cash game plays, and his DFS stacks. Great stuff. Justin Lanero, cheap plays. My DFS 3 and out this week is Dart Toss players, cheap plays, but maybe a little upside. I'm looking at you, Josh Reynolds. I'm looking at you, young man, and Foster Moreau, and others. Go read it all at footballdiehards.com. And also, man, great piece every week by the commissioner, Reginald James. Really entertaining. Not everyone is a commissioner, but a lot of issues he hashes out and just does a fantastic job with the Commissioner HQ columns. It's just fantastic stuff. Really enjoyable, entertaining reads. So make sure you check that out early in the week, too. Go to Football Diehards on Monday, Tuesday. We start giving you the early look at the waiver wire. Joe Kalana does his initial Monday, review of Sunday's injuries and starts looking at the waiver wire then. He updates that on Tuesday. Evan Tarciano gets the waiver wire wizard. Great article. I work off it all the time. On Tuesdays, getting ahead, then Matthew Sharon does the dollar store free agents, which I look at for my guys that I pick up on the, on the first come, first serve later in the week. So tons of stuff, and really appreciate everyone checking all that out. JM, Heineke, Cam, or Taysom next week. Don't know the schedule. Probably playing Heineke of that group. Thanks again to you, JM. High stakes playoffs have started for me. 2 big weeks. He's taking home the money. Don't let Scott Kobe kid you, people. He's here asking questions. He should be answering them. All right, everybody. I'm going to get back to work. Check out footballdiehards.com. I'll have news and updates all throughout the day, all throughout overnight, leading right up to tomorrow's kickoff. We'll take you through each kickoff window and give you all the inactives in real time. We'll also have the full inactive list so you can go dig a little deeper. Tons of stuff, everybody. Go check it out. I'm Bob Harris. I'm saying over and out. Have a super great week 13. I know it's going to be lucky for you and me. Have a great time. Hi, Donnie. Good to see you, man.